Welcome, Wapham crew, guys, gals, ghouls, friends, fiends, foes. Whoever may be listening beyond the omniverse tonight, secure your tinfoil hats, down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Platas on a rocky mountain high, get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners, and settle down snugly at mile marker 420 in colorful Colorado. It is Saturday, October 21st, Sunday, October 22nd for those of you across the pond and beyond. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, and welcome to We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. I am your host, TessaTNT, and we are broadcasting live from the Mile High Clubhouse tonight. If you're wondering what the elevation is, it's quite funny. I actually looked it up the other day, and I know I've looked this up before, but it's 6,900 feet. Pretty funny, I thought. So glad you guys could join us this evening for We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. I hope you guys had an awesome week so far and an awesome weekend. This weekend, we are doing a Halloween special on eTalk Radio, which you could be listening to live right at this very moment. If you are listening live, thank you so very much. If not, please tune in at etalk.tv/radio. We are also live on Spreaker, which you can find under We Are Paradox Media, as well as KPNL Radio, which you can find at kpnl-db.com. If you want to listen to us in your free time, whether you're working it or working out, tune in under We Are Paradox Media under Spreaker, Twitter, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Facebook, Castbox, Tumblr, SoundCloud, TuneIn Radio, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podcast Chaser, Podfind, Podbean, Altel, GeoSarn, VLC, Amazon Music, Audible, as well as Medio Q. Never heard of it before. Also, if you want to watch, check us out under We Are Paradox Media on Facebook. You can also find us at Twitch as well as YouTube. And if you don't mind, mosey on over there. Please subscribe, like any video that you've listened to or watched. And yeah, leave us any comments, whether good, bad, ugly. We want to hear it all, as well as any guests you'd like us to have on in the future. So tonight I have a treat for all my guys and gals out there. Tonight we are having our guests call in at the number that is listed below. It's also posted on our Facebook. Actually, my Facebook under Tessa and Thomas Peterson. Adrian, I added you, but I'm not seeing you on the big screen. So weird. Hopefully you can hear me. Yeah. But we have Adrian on. There you are. We have Adrian on for the first hour, which should be very fun. And then we're going to be taking calls the next 2 hours. If we don't get any calls, of course, we'll just head on over to story time. But welcome, Adrian. Mm-hmm. Good to see you.
Yeah, for sure. Likewise.
Here, I'm going to have to turn up my sound a little bit. My earbuds are a little quiet. Yeah, the volume's down quite a bit. Much better. Awesome. So how's October treating you?
I guess it's okay. It's kind of hot.
Yeah, it was cold for a little bit, but yeah, it's been unseasonably warm. Some would call it an Indian summer, but I think you have to get a little bit into winter for that to happen, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So I don't have a bio for you or anything. Did you want to share a little bit about yourself with our listeners?
Well, yeah, I don't even know what to say.
Well, you're Adrian Belezzo. You currently live in Toyota, but where are you originally from?
Oh, I live in Cortez, Colorado, right at the moment. Or just relocated, I would say. I am from Mexico, born and raised, and I don't know that too enough.
Well, for tonight, we're doing, as I was saying before, for eTalk Radio, we're actually doing like a Halloween special, which I was thrown off because I thought it was this coming
Yeah,
weekend, Halloween weekend. So I was kind of focusing on like scary, creepy stories, like or paranormal experiences, whether it be like ghosts or UFOs or Bigfoot, other cryptids,
yeah,
SWs.
yeah, for sure. Uh, well, I don't know where you want to start. Well, I did go up to Shiprock, and uh, I would say like where I grew up, it was there's some paranormal stuff going on, uh, like skinwalker stuff, uh, strange Bigfoot smell, just we grew up right next to a river, and the San Juan River in Shiprock, and I would say that that place is known for like paranormal activity. I would say like Sasquatch, skinwalkers, shapeshifters, or however you want to call them. There's other encounters that people had with other things down there. Um, yeah, so um, I
Well,
would
did you
say like
have
my
any?
first
Oh, go ahead.
one of my first encounters with Sasquatch, I would say um, was when I was young. We used to go fishing down at the river with my uncles, and there would be these huge footprints in the water, and just kind of like around the area, down, down right there by the river area, and I would ask my uncles and my late grandfather, what that was, and they would just tell me, well, we don't know, we don't know, we just they wouldn't tell me the truth. It was Sasquatch. There was Sasquatch prints. So I remember some of my early experiences like that, and just in like that's in a different area, far from where I grew up from, but still down in the river area, and the whole skinwalker thing. I would say I never really experienced that as once they would really experience it, it was around. I mean, of course, there was something there, but just that never really been, never really seen it. I would say, just a few footprints on the house late at night, strange knockings at the door, and then just not knowing who that was. You know, um, as I gotten older, I I would say it followed. I wouldn't even know if it followed me or like let's say it bothered me. I would say it was it became like a reoccurring nightmare, for me, and something I never really shared with people, but haunt you. They have some kind of attachment to you, even though you're not. And, it's just really, yeah, it really sucked. I'll tell you, it took a lot of prayers just to get out of that nightmare. I would say, but not understanding why, you know, why the skinwalker was attacking me, or because, like I said, I don't know what I've done, or it's just maybe it was just the area. Maybe my grandmother's land was haunted. Maybe yes, I hear that from my uncle that they wanted their own.
You broke up a little bit. You said they wanted their own what? I'm sorry.
Oh, they wanted their own property there. Like their sheep and their cattle. Maybe they want their own homestead there, and so kind of just like putting in a trying to soft, as theirs, and it wasn't mine. It belonged to my grandma. And something that I grew up with, I would say.
Did any of your other family members experience this or talk about it, perhaps like during that time that you were experiencing or beforehand?
No, I would say like I do have my sister, and she was telling me she would have nightmares about that place also. And, we were just young and just victims. I'll say we were victims of. My mom moved there because something went wrong with the housing area, and we couldn't live in a regular house anymore. So we ended up moving there, and uh, just growing up there down at the farm roads, and we were very poor, I would say. Yeah, um, and in trouble, I would say too. Everybody had their own battles with whatever substance abuse, things like that. Yeah,
Do you think that had anything to do with it? And maybe that attracted some negative energies?
yeah, I'm pretty sure. Maybe so, but I kind of think that, like I said, it was more than that. Like somebody else wanted that area. They wanted that farmland. They wanted that place. They wanted to chase away, the people that resided there, and we were the people that resided there. And I don't know, my uncles grew up there. My aunties, my grandma lived there her whole life. I mean, she most of her life, and well, I don't know, up until she got married, I guess. And my cousins, they came and lived there afterwards too. So I'm not sure if they had experienced anything. As far as one other cousin that said that he had possibly seen a Sasquatch down there one night, as he was going outside to use a restroom, to relieve himself, and he just said something was standing there. Uh, and it was tall and it was hairy, and, you know, and I can believe that, you know, I can believe that. I've had dreams about that place of Sasquatches and skinwalkers and just attacking the family and having at the time I think that you know before I came I would say want to say like medicine man or you know a medicine person uh before I came into to know this medicine this spiritual medicine we use and practitioner you know with the Native American church and I was lost before that really and I come to find out that that medicine you know has the power to chase away evil just like that. So, you know, it's definitely something I had dreamed about. You know, is that it needed somebody to, I would say, to defend that place. I would say to stand up to what, you know, was around, coming around the area trying to spook the family off and all that crap. And, yeah, so that was just that. And I did have my first Sasquatch experience, I would say, down living down there um, on the farm road and as was a young person, I would say.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Okay, yeah, I guess like I would by the time I got into high school, I wasn't that smart, and I was uh, really troublemaker. I would say I try to prove myself as the tough guy, you know, and just a part of my substance abuse or whatever. Maybe just my tough act. You know, I'm not even sure how that came to be, but it's just kind of like that. I had I think I did school once, or had yeah, I did school once because you know, I was a ditcher. I was not so used to being in class and just following the rules and all that crap, and so I ditched this one day, this one morning, and walking back to our house, and you know, I sat by this. There's the like I said, it's the farm roads are by the river, so there's a big old cliff, you know, before you know that goes down into the river area, and as I'm you know walking by this cliff, I noticed these crows, and they were just kind of flying around, and it just kind of caught my attention. Why so many crows? You know, and I'm just like kind of curious, like what you know, crows are attracted to death. You know, they're attracted to dead carcasses. You know, so I kind of thought like, hey, maybe there's like a dead animal down there. You know, so I was curious. I followed those crows. You know, I was looking, you know, right over the edge, the cliff, and there was a lot of them. I'm telling you, there was like 50, maybe 70 crows. I'm not even sure. There was a bunch, you know, and it was just really interesting. I would say it wasn't the norm. I would say, you know, and I was just looking where they were, you know, flying around and um, where I was looking out from that point, I was looking down towards the river and that area. It kind of looks like a little Jurassic Park, I would say. Big trees, it's green, and it looked really nice, but it looked kind of ancient, like old too. And so I'm just looking down there, and they're landing on this tree, and there's this one particular tree, way kind of distant from where I was standing. It just kind of I was thinking that's weird, and they were landing on that tree, and you know there was some flying up, some going back down, but they were all settling in that tree, and then all of a sudden I heard this loud person, you know, he sounded like a person, and it sounded like a person, like mixed with a bear. As much as I can describe it, I would say it was really, really loud, and he was just really pissed off, and um, right where that bush was, that's where I heard that loud roar. It was just really loud, like "Wah!" and it reached the cliff, and I'm like, holy shit! Like it kind of sent like goosebumps up my spine, or just like made my hair stand up, and I'm just like, and I'm tripping out, and I'm just standing there like, what the hell is this, and I still look at the bush. I'm still looking at the bush and this tree, that's covered really good, and all those crows start to land back to where that thing was sitting. And then I thought that thing, whatever that was, I thought it was gonna get up and kind of run away, but it just stayed there. I was thinking like, what the hell? That's so weird. I was thinking I don't want to be the one to stand here and have that thing get up and chase me. That's was one of my first thoughts. I was thinking, yeah, I could stick around. And then I started looking around, and I started getting these weird vibes. Like, we better get out of here, kind of that, and um, so I took off back at home. And on the way back, I don't know if it was that time too, I seen one standing in the river. I'm not even sure if it was that same time, but or a different time, but that first time, like I said, I took off back home, and my oldest brother's there, and he's just kind of like, "What's up?" And I'm like, "What's up, brother?" And he's like, "What's going on? He's supposed to be at school." I'm like, "Yeah, but I just ditched." And he's like, "All right, well, what can you do?" He's like, it's kind of not ditching, but I had a reason. I would say that I couldn't go to school. I had this big old black eye, and I just didn't want to go to school with my eye looking so fucked up. I would say is like really. And the person that gave me that black eye was my older brother. So yeah, it was one of the reasons why I came back, and I told my brother. I told him, I heard Sasquatch, and he's just like, what, the Sasquatch? He's like, did you see it? I'm like, no, I don't have to see it to believe it. I know there's a Sasquatch, so that was like my, one of my encounters, I would say. And I would um, always walk back from school to the house and in that area. And I'm not sure. It's just
Well, it's just interesting.
kind of one of
First,
those.
I wanted to tell you your sister Tiffany said, "Hey, brother," in the chat room here. Mm.
Oh, cool.
Um, and then what you were saying about the crows and how they're like attracted to death and the smell of death, and that they were hanging around this creature. So when you went over there to that area and you're looking down and you're surveying this, were you able to smell it too? Because I know they have a really bad stench.
No,
No.
it was far. Like I said, it was. I was standing like at least two, maybe 300 feet away. But Sasquatch, it's not gonna take him forever just to run up to, up to that cliff and then to climb up because them suckers are tall, and for them to for him to get to where I was would probably take him like 10 minutes. For me, it would probably take about 30 minutes to get to where he was, and I did explore that area with my brothers and some of my cousins too. By the time we went down, from the cliff into the area where these cattails are, these tall cattails and these tall grass. I mean, they were at least like 6 or 7 feet, and you could see like trails everywhere down there. And it's like, who makes these trails? You know, it's just creepy like that. It's like, what the heck? And that area, I actually did walk up to that area once. I'm pretty sure I did. Um, there's just kind of like a little bed for it, I would say, somewhere that kind of hide, I would say. And I'm not sure what kind of creature he is. He's kind of like nocturnal, I would say, just maybe just used to dark areas, nice, cold, cool areas where it can kind of stay out of the sun. Um, yeah, strange, I would say. Really.
Definitely strange. I believe they exist. I went and met up with my best friend in Silverton, and we went four-wheeling for a couple days up in the mountains and stuff. And we didn't see hide nor hair of deer or anything. Like the most we saw of live wildlife was birds, a few birds, and some chipmunks. But then the third day after I left, because I had to go back to work, they went again and they saw a moose which wouldn't get up. It would just stay there. So I guess her old man like shot off a gun up in the air or whatever, and it eventually moved. But I think that's the same day they had that Bigfoot sighting from the Durango Silverton Railroad there in Silverton. Did you see that?
Hmm. I think that's fake.
I thought it was
Honestly,
pretty cool because, like, with the video, you can't see much clarity, and it's just, you see this thing walking along, and then it kind of ducks down. And had it ducked down in the first place in those bushes, they probably wouldn't have noticed it. But then there was somebody else who's a friend of one of my friends that took a picture of it, and it actually looks like it could be a female because it looks like it's holding a little baby Bigfoot.
huh? I'm not even sure if we're talking about the same one.
Yeah, there's
I'm
been
sorry.
two. Yeah, there's been two from the Durango Silverton. One was quite a while ago, and one was just this last week, or was it the week before that? I'm trying to remember which week it was. I'm thinking last weekend. Could be wrong.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I did see one. On I think it was. I don't know. They were making such a big deal of it, right? And I seen the YouTube video of it and the pants. It looked like Bigfoot was wearing pants. Kind of just like the crease of his leg.
Huh.
And like he said, he was walking and then he sat down and he's like just just sitting there. And to me, that just looked like somebody who is just out there walking around with a Sasquatch suit. But
Yeah, Tiffany
why
said
would
she saw the
somebody
video
do?
too. I watched it a few times and on a
Yeah,
few different outlets, but it's basically the same video and it doesn't get much clearer. I don't know. Like when I saw, it, I was like, that could be somebody in a costume because, like, of all the places for Bigfoot to be, would be like right there near the train. And it does cover
right.
a lot of ground. But yeah, it was just, like most Bigfoot videos, kind of blurry because it's far away and they're using a cell phone. Who knows what quality that is? But I'll have to find that picture for you and share that with you because that picture was really, really clear and pretty interesting.
Yeah. Huh. I didn't have any Sasquatch experience after I moved from the farm roads. And so my mom moved up to Toyoak and she married this Ute guy. And, she told me she seen a Sasquatch there because where they live right now, where his house is, it's like one of the last houses before it gets into into a rural area, I would say. And it was just so strange that her Sasquatch experience was crazy too. She's like telling me and this was when I was like out in Santa Fe, wherever I was at the time, and she's like telling me, you know, she goes outside at night and waters, grass, because they have a grass in their front yard, and she's over there, watering the grass, and she's kind of going towards a fence, and before there was a fence there, it was just kind of open, and she's she's watering the grass, minding her own business, and she said off to her right, she looked like just right to her right, and she noticed, this shack, the old shack right there, and she said she noticed this person kind of like behind it. This, I'm telling you, that shed is like shit. It's like 7, 8 feet. I mean, it's a high freaking, it's high. When I stood up to it, like recently, it was like way up here somewhere, and like he was just like right there, like for him to be standing just like behind it like that, like damn, like how freaking tall was this guy? He was tall, and he was looking right at her, and he kind of stepped out, and he looked right at her, and she said she looked right at it, and I get paralyzed there. She was in shock. She said it did. She felt this feeling. She said of something come over her, and it wasn't. She just felt like she had no power, really, to move or just to run or anything. She was just kind of like stunned, and she said it just stared at her for a while, and she looked right at it, his face, everything, and his fur. And, I don't know. She said it was like reddish black or something, like black or something. I'm not even sure what color she said it was, but she said she just turned around and went inside, and she told her husband, and he was like, well, that's why I don't go out. He's such a chick out there. I'd have probably been like, where the fuck is this guy? I would have been so pissed, really. Yeah, that's just the type of person I am, But anyhow, so um, years later, we end up moving in that area, and I explored that whole area. You know, I explored that whole area. I did find signs of it. Like it's trails, maybe a bed near the house, kind of like the little area where it lays down at night and trails. And, I went up the hills back there in Toyark. There was some footprints I found, Sasquatch footprints. I even went up the mountain, by myself, trying to, just see what's out there. And there was like a lot of baby ponies, and elk and coyotes, just about that. But, you know, uh, I think once it started getting eerie like that, I had to turn around, I would say. But if I was so brave, I would continue on the whole mountain by myself. But um, anyhow, so I've never encountered Sasquatch living down there. I would say it was, yeah, it just wasn't something I encountered until a few years later. I would say just recently, like a few years back, I went into the Chiska Mountains to, my friend um, asked me if I wanted to sheep herd for him, and I never sheep herded before in my life, He's like, yeah, it's easy, you can just walk around with him, and um, I don't think sheep herding's that easy, Really, it's not, and especially in that area, you know. When I first got to that Cheska Mountains and my friend had left, I really felt like, holy shit, like, why did I, why did I agree to this? It was just so strange to me. I would say it was so, I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but that first day I got there in that evening, I heard the Sasquatch call. I would say Sasquatch warning, another warning, another roar. I was saying it was familiar to that first Sasquatch voice I heard. So that's how I know that was a Sasquatch. And, it's just uh, strange, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you were saying, like when you hear that, it makes the hair raise up, whether it's on your arms, your back, or your whole body. And it's, you get that fight or flight, or like your mom said, freeze. I have three stages: fight, flight, or freeze. And sometimes you do just freeze because I don't know. It's like you don't know what to do. But I think she did the right thing by going back inside. But with your herding experience, did you have any dogs to help you out, or was it just you and the sheep?
Yeah, there was this one dog, and his name was Piss in Navajo. So they, they would, my friend would call him Lizzie. His name was Lizzie, but that, interprets the piss, and it's like, why is his name Piss, And it's such a strange name. And that dog, he was the protector, I would say. And he knew, I would say, even at night, when that first night I got there, there was something crawling on that hogan, and which was freaked the hell out of me because I'd never really experienced something crawling on a hogan, I mean, it was a little Hogan too, and it was crawling around. It was kind of scratching around, and I was just like, I put the 22 right there up to where the, the closest I could get it to, to where it can shoot right through the to the animal or whatever it was on the other side. I was ready to pull the trigger, and I thought like, what if my friend gets mad at me for putting holes through his house? You know, his roof of his Hogan. So I was thinking, damn. Now, as much as as much as I wanted to, put 22 bullets through this, whatever creature on this other side, I couldn't. I would say I was. I just had to bite the bullet. I just had to bite my own teeth, I guess, and just kind of, just kind of forget about it. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was so strange staying up in the mountains. I would say, during the daytime, after that, first evening to the nighttime, that first time that whatever was crawling around didn't crawl around anymore. It's kind of like it took off or something. I'm not even sure what it was because as soon as it gets dark in mountains, it gets dark. It doesn't. There's no. There's no street lights or any kind of light but your own flashlights and whatever you have with you. And so, I mean, that's all you have really. Um, yeah, it was interesting. Getting up. I had to get up and got the sheep to make sure they got food. I had to make sure they grazed. I had to make sure that they had water. That was an essential because just like us, if we don't have food or water, we're dead. You know. So for them, to get them food and water, it was an essential, and it was like, hey man, you're gonna have to herd these sheep to get some water. You have to herd them to get, graze out, and you gotta watch your own back too, kind of like that. And so I did. I even explored that area by myself um, a few times, but not really. Every day I would be like way out there exploring. Yeah, just like that. But every night, I would hear this scratching, on the whole gun, just this scratching noise, kind of like it was somebody just scratching, just like it's like somebody digging. It sounded like somebody digging. And a few times, I put the rifle right there too, and I'm just like, shit, I want to shoot this damn thing. And I think a few times I even got annoyed. I was like, shut up, just try to get loud, but then it would, come back around and just keep scratching. Like, and I was like, shit. Uh, in the beginning, I would say the first week I was slept with a 22, just right there by the bed, like right in my hand. I was like, shit. I was so freaked out. Um, but in time, I just kind of got used to it.
Did you ever
So
see
yeah,
what it was that was doing the scratching?
no, I really didn't want to see it. I would say
Yeah.
I wasn't that curious to see what it was. I knew maybe just kind of knew what it was already. maybe it was a juvenile, you know, and like a young guy like myself, you know, maybe it was a young Sasquatch, maybe just to be annoying. But no, I've never, you know, went out there, even with a gun, even with a knife, you know, I was like, as much as I want to be this brave, talk brave, and I'm so brave, and I'm just a warrior, and you know, when it came down to, it, I was like, oh shit, I ain't, hell no, I ain't going out there, you know. Once that door goes closed at night, that's it, you know, lockdown.
Yeah, and just
Yeah,
because you're brave doesn't mean you're dumb. You
but
know, you're smart enough to keep yourself out of certain
yeah,
situations.
so true. You know, in time I thought that the Hogun was it was spiritual in itself, and then in time I thought like, you know, even the sheep, they're spiritual in themselves too. You know, maybe this whole time I'm thinking that I'm protecting them, they're protecting me. And so maybe not even that, but then like the old Navajo belief of you know, like the holy people. It's like maybe they see me, you know, herding these sheep, you know, just pushing, you know, just letting them graze, herding, you know, like that, herding, sheep herding, holy people for me. You know, um, it was a strange experience, I would say.
Definitely. Well, we have
And
about
in time,
eight,
I got kind of tired of it.
right? Well, I was going to say we have about 8 minutes
I got
before we
tired of it
have.
after a while.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't know how long I could handle doing that. But yeah, we have about 8 minutes before we go to our first break. Was there anything else like as far as your experiences that really sticks out that you wanted to share?
What do you mean? I'm like,
As far as like paranormally, so we've discussed Bigfoot quite a bit. I know like in the Four Corners area, as well as here at my house, there's all kinds of UFO sightings, and we also have like shadow people and ghosts. Like, have you had any run-ins with any of that?
yeah, we'll say there's a spirit here in this room. You know, some kind of spirit that makes itself known in some kind of way. You know, just little noises here and there, and it's like kind of makes me wonder. You know, if there was a dead cat under my bed or something. You know, if there's something that actually died in this room that my landlady does not. She doesn't know. You know, because not everybody's gonna know everything. You know, so um, yeah, this is kind of strange, and there is you know, a UFO that I did see a while back with my little brother. This was years ago. You know, it was right there above the U Mountain, and it just came down. It looked like an airplane at first, you know, because it, you know, wasn't so colorful. I would say it was just kind of plain and simple, and you know, and then it kind of we're just looking at it, and it started like rotating. You know, it turned on these lights, and it was like kind of like all these lights in there, and just we're just kind of tripping out, like, what the hell is that, you know? And um, It was so strange. I tell you, it was just something that we never seen before, and kind of looked like one of those carnival rides, at the carnival, that little spaceship ride. And it's got the whole, color lights up on across it. And that's what it looked like. So it was very interesting to see that, and it took off. You know, uh, yeah. So I don't know. It was so strange. I tell you, it was just that one encounter, I would say. You know, but I did hear that UFOs were actually us in the future,
Yeah, I've heard
which
that
is
too. I don't know how much I'm buying it.
yeah. Oh my god. Could have been Tash right there, like, hey, Adrian.
Yo, Adrian! I'll see you down there.
Yeah. Could be me in the future, be like, hey, buddy, it's me. And just kind of, you know? Yeah.
It's future me, I
Oh,
just came back to tell you.
yeah. I just came back to tell you, buddy, you're going to be alive in the future. Jesus. Hmm. Yeah, I don't think I would want to, with my Sasquatch encounters, I honestly don't.
Hello?
Yo, what's going on?
Hey, we're about to go to break.
Yo, brother, you should close your eyelids a bit. Your eyes are looking real loco, man. Close them.
I'll,
I think he's talking about I don't have those hunter eyes of yours. You don't have hunter eyes.
You got prey eyes, man. You got to close them.
Prey eyes. You're going to be eaten by a predator.
You can't be drinking that shit either, man. That shit's not good for you.
Hello?
Hello.
I can't hear you.
Well, you guys. Yeah, I don't know why. That's weird.
I can't hear you.
Oh,
Hello?
I can hear you. Is this Mr. B-Man?
hey,
Is the woman talking to you guys? I can't hear her.
She's not saying
girl.
anything right now.
They're not here.
Hello?
Oh, yeah, I'm right here. Hello. Sorry, I was muted.
Oh, there you go. All right, go ahead and mute yourself again.
Hey!
So, guys,
All
we
right,
are
get
about
up.
to...
All right, get up.
Right, we're going to our first music break, fellas.
Yeah.
You fat bitch.
Break.
Lose
Oh,
some
hey!
fucking weight, you dumb bitch. You fucking fat bitch. Go.
Oh! Oh!
That guy had no right to do that.
Oh, and
Jesus.
there he goes.
That guy had no right. Jesus.
Anyways,
Oh,
on this
What
break,
is the music that you're talking about?
we got Miss Mia Savage from the Phoenix, Arizona area with Lemurian Crypto, Let Me Be Your Home, Arna Reality, and Your Skeleton.
You're so crazy.
alone. Somebody please take me out. The rest of time. The rest of time. Here. Do you speak my language? Not if you know.
I don't know. Hopefully you can hear me now. Welcome back, you guys, to We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. That was Mr. Adrian Bledsoe with his podcast debut. He did an awesome job. Yes, we did have a little buffering here and there, but Adrian, you did good. Just the beginning to your podcast future. And yeah, we should do this again in the future sometime. Anybody else out there that's listening that seriously wants to call in with their paranormal ghost stories, UFO, Bigfoot, whatnot, feel free to call in. You can call in 970-335-9596. We can try that route. Hopefully it works. I have it to where I can hear it and the people that are listening can hear it. But if somebody else is on StreamYard, they can't hear it, which is weird. I don't know how to fix that, but yet another thing for me to figure out. Oh, thank you, Adrian. Yeah, that was just so rude of that guy. I don't know why he said that. Hat, like P-H-A-T, pretty hot and tempting. Just kidding. Yeah, I know who I am. We are what we are. But the stories that we left off on last time, until we do get somebody to call in, is from Mr. Alfred Hitchcock. I don't know about you guys, but I was raised on the horror genre, and I loved Mr. Alfred Hitchcock. Later on, I heard he was quite the cock, but this is his book, Monster Museum, and it's a pretty good one, I must say so myself. It's so tempting. Thanks, Adrian. So, let us continue with The Day of the Dragon. Was the music too loud, Adrian? Let me know. Now and then, I'd put my eye to a little opening I'd found and peer through. There were my beasts growing larger every day, greater now than elephants in the bulk of their torso, and with that parasol-like growth on their backs expanding and expanding, and shaping itself out into two vast ovals, one on each side. Then, one day, it came over me, suddenly, what these were. Wings. Yes, sir, wings. And I also have to say to the two gentlemen that were in here that got kicked just because, like, panic mode, Mr. Sasquatch and Mr. Randall, if you guys want to call back in, feel free to. And suddenly, to that day, I realized what I possessed there, locked up in that old factory. And I ran back to my car and drove at breakneck speed to New York and to the library. Why, of course, what else but dragons? And the stories and pictures of those fabulous beasts proved to me that all the alligators were not the only healthy alligators that had ever existed. There had been at various times, but mostly in prehistoric days, other rare specimens of healthy alligators. How else explain the fact that people had seen precisely such monsters as I have out there, and preserve the record of their appearance in story and art? Why, those Chinese dragons you see embroidered in silk were as like mine as two peas. Undoubtedly, there appears now and then, but exceedingly rare, a sport or variant among the alligators or crocodiles, provided by chance with a healthy heart and so free from auto-intoxication. But to get back to the progress of my pets, they continued to develop, and pretty soon I began to see their wings unfold, with those enormous ribs of theirs strengthening them like ribbed Gothic vaulting. Hunched they are at the shoulders, and then smoothing down flat to the rear and wrapped against the lower body like enormous shields. You can see that they are arching now to try out the wings, but there's no room in the factory. For now and then they do a little tentative flapping, you know, like chickens, and then they subside, sadly. I tell you, it breaks my heart to see them so confined. But that will be remedied. Now they have begun to look awkward on the ground, trailing their immense wings, their size preventing them from frisking around as they used to. They move back and forth like caged beasts, and I can see that their tempers are getting short and ugly. Okay, well, to me it sounds a little loud. I'm just going to turn it down a smidge. Yeah, it needs to go down a bit. That should do.
Wanting to say that you are loved, you are worthy.
Took them off the screen because like everybody can hear them. So I wasn't hanging up on them, just taking them off screen. But yeah, let them know they can call back in if they want to. That one guy, like, he can piss off during music break if they talk.
Sorry to share. I was just calling.
Oh, thank you.
I
I
was just calling
appreciate
to
it.
lift up the mood. But I'm going to go, and I hope you have a great show. And you know, I'm literally looking at you.
Well, thanks again for calling in, sister. I
Anyway.
love you, and thanks for the encouragement.
And you're welcome, and I love you too.
Mwah. Bye.
Bye.
That was our little sister Jen calling in to encourage me after she heard that ugliness. Alright, let's see, where were we? I actually lost my spot. It was like, holy shnikes, not expecting. I did put the Skype number out there. I'm glad it worked. I'm glad you guys can hear it. Like I said, generally people listening can hear it, but if anybody else is on StreamYard, they can't hear them. So it doesn't work out too well for Psychic Sundays, but it does work for story time. So go ahead and call in on that number if you want to. Right there, 970-335-9596. Or you can come on StreamYard. If you don't want to be on camera, turn your camera off. It's all good. So, let's see. So the professor sat there with their hats on their knees. The president wiped the copious sweat from his brow, and Crabshaw, thin and alert, kept leaning forward to give the driver directions. Suddenly, Crabshaw gave a cry. The car drove out into open space and stopped abruptly. Before us were the heaped ruins of what had once been a red brick building of some size.
Trying to lift up the mood.
So thick that it almost, and the odor was like that of the monkey house at the zoo, only many times worse. The president cried out, "Crabshaw, I insist upon being driven." Most obscured the existence of a flat concrete. I insist on you. Why do you stand like dummies? Do you turn up your noses because of the evidence is not a million years old? Why, if this were in the rocks of Montana, he'd be all over the ground, sniffing and measuring and preparing to write huge tomes. What's the matter with you now? Gently, I led the hysterical man down Professor Wiener in the crown of Ernest, and then they reminded themselves of Cardiff Giant. In short, they passed in sarcastic review all the trickeries ever perpetuated upon science. But all things have an end. Eventually, we unloaded our cargo of scoffers and proceeded on to Crabshaw's apartment. The life had gone out of that man, so that I could not desert him, but must see him home safely. As we rode on to his apartment, I heard newsboys crying extras. Though the moment was hardly propitious, I felt that my profession demanded a copy. I stopped the car and called to one of the boys. No sooner had I spread out the sheet than I gave Crabshaw a mighty slap on the shoulder, for I confess that my own first emotion was one of exultation. "Look, man, read this," I cried. "Monsters attack Atlantic City. 4 bathing beauties among missing. Many spectators at bathing beauty contests are slain, and many maimed by flying monsters." As usual, the actual news report was meager, for extras often have nothing more than a headline to sell. It is published while the reporters hustle out to secure more complete information. The body of the article repeated in various forms the following story. Conflicting reports by telephone from Atlantic City tell of enormous flying monsters, birds or airplanes. Eyewitnesses are not in agreement on this point. Attacking the crowd assembled to watch the final awards in the nationwide competition for the nomination of Miss America. 2 or more scarlet-colored birds of vast size swooped down on the panic-stricken multitude, who dashed for cover in all directions. One informant declares he was reminded of airplane attacks on infantry that were a feature of World War. Whatever they were, beast or machine, they mutilated dozens of bystanders and were gone. Their appearance and disappearance were so rapid, their speed so enormous, that no one seems to have retained a clear notion as to precisely what happened. The monsters seem to have swooped down out of the clouds and back again, carrying off some of the victims and leaving the boardwalk strewn with the dead and the dying. Earliest reports from the hastily organized volunteer ambulance and medical corps. I grew more and more serious as I read the victims. But Crabshaw only expanded. He slapped his knee. "Ha-ha, those healthy youngsters, what an appetite. Think of that, should swoop down from the clouds." He illustrated the maneuver with a sweep of his hand. Snatched up those beauties and climbed right back out of human sight. Wow! Think of it, man. And he gave me a jovial dig in the ribs. "I'm thinking of it all right," I said soberly. But he was so delighted that he actually began to caper around the car. It was droll, but I could not laugh. Thought of the dead and dying out there on the boardwalk, and the 4 young girls who had come to exhibit their youth and beauty, and who had been snatched up beyond the clouds and devoured. "Stop! Stop the car!" Crabshaw shouted. "We must get dozens of those papers and clip out those articles and send them to those benighted professorial asses who came out there and refused to use their 5 senses." "Do nothing of the kind," I cried and pulled Crabshaw back to his seat. "Listen to me, you fool. Do you want the whole world on your neck? Don't you realize what your dragons have done? They've killed or injured for life scores of people. What will the world say of Professor Crabshaw when it learns what his pretty petty desire for vindication in the eyes of his colleagues has caused wholesale murder? Take my advice and keep quiet about this, and pray that it may blow over. Or enjoy your bloody triumph, if you like, but beware of proclaiming it. As far as I am concerned, not a word of your connection with this gruesome business at Atlantic City will get into the newspapers." That sobered him, but only for a moment. Then he wagged his head, tickled silly by the accomplishment of his pets. "Pesky youngsters," he muttered over and over again to himself. Then he exclaimed out loud, "Pesky youngsters, gad, what will they do when they are full grown? Can you imagine? Why, they're only kids now. They're not a year old yet, and just out of the hospital, so to speak. Why, come to think of it, this is the first day they flew. Say, what do you suppose they'll do when they are as big as battleships? Bigger, maybe. Wow." And he went on, ruminating gleefully, flying so perfectly on their first essay. Where's the human aviator who could equal that and say, by gosh, I never thought of that? Do you recall the stories of the dragons demanding a tribute of fair maidens? Well, there you see it. First thing they do is go after the beautiful virgins. Haha, just another proof for you that those old artists and poets were not just imbeciles, but as good scientific observers as any of us moderns. Fairy tales, eh? I tell you, Mr. President, those fairy tales are true, and Crabshaw's fancies are as good as any of your old stodgy facts. Maybe better, because dreams come true, while facts are always being challenged and disproved. He went on thus while the car drove to his home. Just as we reached there, he let out a scream and nearly stopped my heart beating. What's the matter now? I gasped. Never thought of it, he shouted. Never once occurred to me. Oh, this is rich. Just too perfect. Male and female created, he, them. Yes, sir. One male and one female. Think of it, man. Think of the race that will come from those beasts. Why, Wyatt. He stood there with an ecstatic smile on his uplifted face. It was as if he felt himself akin to the Creator and was calling down a blessing upon the Adam and Eve of the new race of dragons. It occurred to me later where I had heard people talk just like Crabshaw during that ride home. Parents, hard-working parents of the poorer classes, who raised up their children to take the place in the world that they, the parents, would have liked to occupy. They speak thus, and for Crabshaw, his dragons, so strong, so unassailable, were his sons, who were going to wipe out with their strength all the disappointments that he had been forced to swallow. No sooner had we alighted and dismissed the car than he declared, I'm not going upstairs. Please do me a favor. Go up and tell Elspeth not to expect me until late. Say nothing about the dragons, of course. And what are you going to do? I asked, displeased at his request. I've got something I must take care of, he said mysteriously. And then, sensing that I was about to object, he pleaded quickly, Go, please. Good Lord, and I to be balked all my life? I realized vaguely what he wanted to do, but his last words made me give in to his plea. And then what good would it have done to have refused him? He would have put through his plan anyhow. The manner in which he clutched his camera under his arm, and a light of fanatic determination in his eyes, were indicative of a firm resolve to go back to the ruined factory in New Jersey, no doubt driving there in his own little car in the hope that the darling alligators whom he had nursed to health from their original heart trouble would return to roost there, and he would be thus enabled to secure photographs of them. I let him go and regretted it, but I told myself blameless, for short of locking him up behind iron bars, nothing could have restrained him. I went up and made some excuse to Alice Smith, and then left to catch up on my neglected work. Of the unsuccessful dragon expedition, I said nothing to anyone. To have done so would have been to expose Crabshaw. I was rather surprised to find that the professor at the university suspected nothing of his connection with the disaster at Atlantic City. But on second thought, this was only natural. Such a connection must have appeared extremely far-fetched, and to have propounded it would have been to expose oneself to ridicule, if it were proved false, and again to ridicule, were it to be proved true. In any case, the great publicity would have been Crabshaw's. Such must have been the motives of the professors in keeping quiet, if indeed they had any thoughts on the matter at all. Afterwards, true enough, all sorts of crazy things were propounded by professor and layman alike, and Crabshaw's name was mentioned. But those who had been in a position to assure themselves of the justice of Crabshaw's claims, and had neglected to do so, had nothing to gain by speaking up. On the contrary. When I called up Crabshaw in the afternoon of the following day, Elspeth answered, extremely agitated. What do you know about this? She asked. Where is Paul? Why, didn't he come home? I asked, my heart sinking at the thought of Crabshaw alone with the dragons. No, he didn't come home, she answered, but that's not what puzzles me so much as where he has been. I'm afraid there's some sort of hoax afoot. Since yesterday, I've had 3 cablegrams, ostensibly from him, all sent correct. Cablegrams? Yes. One from London that came last night. The second one came early this morning and was from Alexandria. And I just had another just this moment from Singapore, the Malay states. Well, what does he say? He says the same thing in each one. Don't worry. Stop. Am safe. Stop. Be home soon. Well, that sounds encouraging, I said, for want of any better comment. Elspeth, however, declared, Well, I can tell you this. I don't believe they come from Paul. He can't be all over the world in one night, and I'm not going to pay for any more of them. Perhaps you can tell me what it's all about. What did you two do yesterday? Why, nothing, I said, and gladly made whatever excuses I could think of quickly, and then hung up. Actually, of course, I had a good notion of what had happened. It was plain that he was riding through the clouds on the back of one or the other of his flying alligators, and could stop them where he pleased, flying from continent to continent and over the oceans. Well, glory be to you, Paul. Now you are truly vindicated. Now you have your apotheosis. All the world will bow to you when you come alighting in the middle of Broadway on your pet dragon. I thought for a moment of proclaiming the arrival of Paul Crabshaw from a round table the world hop, done in one day, but fortunately I thought better of it. In view of the recent disaster at Atlantic City, of which the papers were now full, but I could not restrain my mind from waxing enthusiastic over the fact that it was plain Paul had tamed the monsters. What would not mankind be able to do with these domesticated dragons, who were so superior to airplanes? Perhaps Paul had struck the right track, the new road along which mankind was to progress by breeding or otherwise developing animals to do the work of machines. But we waited in vain for Paul Crabshaw to return. Elspeth paid for several more cablegrams from South America, from Africa, and from other outlandish places. Then the cablegrams ceased, which both pleased and disappointed the economical Elspeth, and after that we never heard of Paul again. As for the rest, it was history. The bruit of the Atlantic City disaster died down, and for several years we heard nothing more of monsters. Elspeth, bereaved, had gone away to nurse her sorrow, and Paul Crabshaw's disappearance was soon forgotten. I used to ponder over the probable fate of the dragons. Evidently, their mighty hearts had given way, and they had fallen into the sea, along with their doctor. But they had only retired to remote regions, there to breed thousands of their kind. For soon the world awoke to the fact that it was positively infested with dragons. There were at first rumors of dragons devouring the natives of interior Africa. This was presumed to be false, like so many other jungle stories. And then there were rumors of dragons in South America and China. These were dismissed as tropically overheated imaginations and mere Chinese fantasies. Then there were dragons in Europe and in France, in England, in the United States, in New York, and no one could doubt the truth of it anymore. The world was a prey to man-eating dragons. Too late then to fight the vermin that had obtained such a foothold on our world. Alas, no longer our world, but the world of the dragons, who have become supreme. Step by step, we have retreated and given up the globe, which we had brought so near to complete civilization, given it up to our successors in time. The human history of the earth is closing its books. Too late, then, for me to tell what I knew, and when I did, I found no one to believe me. No one would try my simple explanation and see if alligators could really be cured of their heart trouble and become dragons. The mere suggestion was dismissed at once on the grounds that acquired characteristics were not inherited, whereas these dragons bred true. In short, the idea was too ridiculous to be discussed seriously. The explanation that science handed down was that some dragon eggs remaining for millions of years in the cold storage of the Arctic had by chance been caught in the sweep of the glacier, had been carried down in the slow glacial movement to the sea, had thence, along with an iceberg, been carried off to sea, and had floated down into the warmth of the tropics. On some tropical island shore, the dragon eggs, still by miracle unbroken and unspoiled, had slowly been brooded to life by the warmth of the sun. This theory fitted in well with old tales of gigantic rock eggs, and was generally accepted by science and lady alike. I did not press my point, for what could be the value, at this late date, of knowing how to transform a comparatively harmless alligator into a dragon? Making more dragons, even in the name of research, was the silliest ever of all schemes to carry coals to Newcastle. Why, the world was full of them. Not a city, not a village, not the remotest hamlet, but suffered their depredations. The dread fowl came down like a hawk upon chickens and carried off men, women, and children, as well as cattle, and left only its horrid droppings as a final insult to the tragic survivors. In vain mankind prayed. In vain ministers sermonized on the beast of the apocalypse, the beast whose number was 666. In vain we turned to anti-aircraft guns, to explosive bullets, to poison gases, to gigantic traps. In vain our most courageous aviators mounted the skies in pursuit of them. The thrash of their tails, and man and his machine tumbled to earth, while his bullets rattled harmlessly off the armor-like hide of the beast. It was useless to fight. We were beaten, and the wise ones were those who scurried off soonest to the best caves and mines. Farmers burrowed underground and tilled their fields in the darkest nights, and did not trouble themselves to grow any more food than they could use. Famine added itself to the miseries of mankind. Our supply of coal gave out. Our electric powerhouses ceased to function. Turbines still ran while there were volunteers to brave the danger of running them and of repairing power lines. As long as our machines still held together, they were used, but repairs grew more and more impossible. To work in the daylight was suicidal. At night, light was forbidden, for it immediately attracted a dragon out of the sky. Evidently, they bred rapidly. Not 20 years after Crabshaw's first specimen, thousands were counted. And the world of human life perished before their insatiable hunger, as once the world of animal life had perished before our advance. What we had done to buffalo and passenger pigeons was repaid by us in full measure. Oh, where is now the St. George that is to rid us of our scourge? Where are the scientists with serum or inoculation that should wipe out these dragons? What? Will science fail us? Are we doomed? We the last remnants of the human race, who now exist in perpetual fear? At first, how many and how bright were the reports of what we would do to the dragons? Reports of new types of guns, of great steel spring nets, of new and most potent gases, harmless to man, but deadly to great Syrians, of disease germs that were to be spread among them and wipe them out in one vast epidemic, of poison bait. Alas, all failed, until even the most optimistic of us have lost heart. We ceased to hope and made the best of things, and quietly blessed those valiant old New Yorkers who had constructed that so often ridiculed megalopolis, with its impregnable fortress of skyscrapers and its marvelous network of underground passageways where we, besieged mankind, can make our last stand. Here we are, safe for a time. That is to say, until famine gets us. We stave off that as best we can by utilizing every rooftop and planting countless window boxes and developing whatever mushroom and other fungus growths will thrive in the dark. Here and there, too, we grow food under ultraviolet light, but current is almost priceless. How long can we last, seeing that our existence is ultimately dependent on the constant excursions of volunteer corps who are ever risking their lives for the community? Our numbers grow daily less. A few, we are told by rare travelers, survive in the far north where dragons rarely go. A few survive in mines. No doubt there must be other communities, say in London and Berlin and other places, where there are extensive subways. But it is years since we have had any communication with them. What is to be the end of all this, I ask myself. Are we to perish utterly? I think I shall cause this tale to be engraved on stone so that if ever, the human race arises again, I may read and know how the damnable inferiority complex of one Paul Crabshaw made all mankind the prey of fabulous monsters. The next one is The King of Cats. That one seems pretty interesting. So on that note, you guys, we are going to go to our second music break. On this break, we have Miss Mia Savage with her band, her group, Antidote for Savages. I like to think of her as like a female version of Trent Reznor because all the lyrics, all the music, everything that you hear, she's done. She's going to be singing one of my favorites, Bury Me in Heaven, as well as Not a Phase, Singing to Your Grave, and Bottom Line. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
right now between fear and love.
Welcome back to We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. So far we have the first hour with Mr. Adrian Bledsoe, super epic, hearing about his stories in Shiprock, one of the most amazing mystical places I've ever been to, as well as Toyak. Super epic stories about Bigfoot, etc. Continued on to story time with Alfred Hitchcock's Monster Museum. That was pretty cool. Sticking in line, I have it posted in the chat where to go to StreamYard to tell your ghost story, as well as the phone number that you can call into. So I was just thinking, instead of continuing on with story time, perhaps I should share some of my ghost stories. So that's how, if anyone was wondering, how did I get into the paranormal? Well, because I've been living with it, basically, since before I can even remember. First was the house I lived in Boston Valley, which was in North Arkansas, right past Pettigrew. I always think of it as the northeast corner, but it's not quite there. It's in my mind, it's there, but it's not. Staying at the foot of an old man wearing some coveralls and rocking in a rocking chair, like playing with my sister at his feet. Hold on, this music seems a little loud. Let me turn this down a smidge. So the most memorable one for me was after that. So one you could say was supernatural in a sense, but it could be St. Elmo's fire, or some call it ball electricity. So living in Salem Springs, Arkansas, our power went out. So we all gathered around, me, my mom, and my 4 siblings. We were just sitting, telling different stories. Some are ghost stories, some are other tales. And I'm sitting on my mom's lap. I was pretty close to her before she passed. She was killed by a drunk driver when I was 5, almost 6. And I'm sitting on her lap, and we're talking, and I look out the window, and across the little dirt road there's a little hill that goes up into a cattle yard. And there's a, little T there, which was a power line. And right in the middle of that power line was a fireball. And I said, "Mama, what's that?" And she looks, and her eyes got so big. And it shot towards the house. It went like that on the front porch. Let me just make sure I'm not muted over here. And at that moment, I'm like, "Mom, what's happening? What's happening?" And she covers my mouth. All of a sudden, this thing comes up like this through the living room floor in between all of us. And it just sits there for a moment, then moves over into the hallway. So there's the kitchen, then there's the hallway, and then there's all of our bedrooms and a bathroom and laundry room. One of my older brothers, I can't remember if it was Gary or Greg, I want to say Gary because he was the oldest, was getting the laundry out of the dryer so it wouldn't wrinkle. A lot of times we used the clothesline, but I think due to the stormy season or whatnot, we weren't, so we used the dryer instead. So he's getting the clothes out so Mom can do with it what she will, perhaps put it up in the house or fold it. I'm not sure exactly, but as he was coming out of the laundry room, this thing shot down the hallway towards him, and he just flattened out on the floor. This thing shot past him, went through the brick wall because our house was made of brick, and we never saw it again. It was pretty interesting to me that it didn't leave any marks on the floor or anything like that as it came through, being that it was a ball of fire. But this thing seemed intelligent. The next story I recall, I was 5, almost 6, and I've always been a night owl. I've always had issues sleeping, and I attribute that to dealing with the paranormal and just expecting something to happen at any moment during the night. And this house, like, to me at the time, it seemed pretty big. But when you go back as an adult, this house was pretty small for, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kids and 2 adults. 3 bedrooms. So, of course, we share beds. So, everybody else is asleep. I'm the only one awake. And I'm just laying there and I'm staring out in the hallway. And I like to do that because I don't know if you guys remember, but back in the late 70s, early 80s, there were those light clocks or whatnot. And it showed like flowing rivers or whatever might have been yours. Some of them were beer clocks, etc. This one, I believe, could have been like a bush bear thing, but it was a very beautiful, like, scenery sort of thing. So it had trees, and there was a little stream flowing through it, and the stream trickling through, and the sky and the clouds behind the trees caused this reflection off the walls of the hallway. And I just remember laying there, just, enjoying the light and the bouncing of the light off the walls, and all of a sudden I heard like somebody is walking down the hallway. And it sounded like somebody in high heels, and I'm like, well, that's weird. Like, maybe when I blinked, my mom went past me and got something from the kitchen, and now she's walking her way back to her bedroom, which was right next to the room I was in. So there was my bedroom, her bedroom, and at the very end was the boys' bedroom, which we switched around sometimes. I stayed in there sometimes too, and actually fell off the top bunk a few times. Probably explains a lot of things, but I heard this footstep coming closer and closer. And so I'm thinking it's my mom, because she's the only one I know that wears high heels. So I call out, Mom? Mama? Mom? Mom? And as soon as I try to say it again, this entity, this spirit, made its way in front of my door, and she was wearing a long black lace dress. She had a veil over her face, and she was wearing these old-timey boots, which not too long ago I saw in an antique store. I'm like, these are the high heel boots that lady was wearing that I saw when I was a baby, or a kid. 5, almost 6. Call it a baby, but I was a kid. Looked exactly like that, the high heels that lace up around the ankles. She was like about 2 inches off the ground. Oh my gosh, I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it. She stopped right in the middle of my doorway and turned and slowly looked at me. And turned and slowly looked back down the hallway. I don't know if you guys know, but sheets, perfect shield against ghosts. Like, I pulled the sheets up like this. Keep my eyes like this, like, so I could still see what was going on, but I covered the rest of my face. And she just looked back down the hallway and kept going, and then I heard my mom's door open and then close. And that was the end of that. Within less than a week later, my mom was in a car accident that fatally injured her. Like I said, we were in Siloam Springs at the time. She was airlifted to Oklahoma City. And that's where her demise happened. After that, it was me and my little brother. We stayed with our dad, our 3 older siblings. So my mom had married once before my dad. She had my 3 older siblings. And then she married my dad, and it was me and my little brother, JP. He likes to go by JT these days, but I'll always call him JP. Anywho's, they went with their dad, we went with ours, and it was pretty stressful, pretty tumultuous, and, he just really couldn't handle it being a single dad, so he sent us to live with our grandparents, which was our mother's parents. And this was out in Pettigrew, Arkansas. I'm telling you, this place was a porthole to me from hell. Like, during the day, the most beautiful place. I love the way, like, her sidewalk was paved. Like, every rock that she had, which paved the bottom of her house, as well as the sidewalk going up to her house, the stairs, the porch. There was even a stand in the front yard that she had built to do family pictures. And, every rock was amazing, and she'd gotten these or journeyed these from different caves she had visited. Well, at night, this place was super creepy. I don't know why. It just had these creepy feelers. Me and my brother, every night, would cry, "Granny, Grandpa, we're so scared." And they're like, "Just go to sleep, youngins, just go to sleep. Ain't nothing to be scared of. Ain't nothing out there but chickens." So, yeah, we just have to deal with it every night and try to go to sleep. And like I said, as per usual for me, even still today, my husband doesn't understand it, but I cannot go to sleep until a very late hour, generally between 4:30 and 6 o'clock in the morning. So I'm laying there, just thinking, overactive mind, trying to go to sleep. And all of a sudden, I see this light come through my window. Well, this is weird, because outside my window is probably about 5 or 6 feet of yard. Then there's a fence. Then there's the chicken yard where the chicken coops are. And then there's a shed where my grandma would put her honeycomb and her honey. Oh my God, honeycomb is so good. I have to tell you, if you've never had it, you gotta have it. So good. Yeah, the wood shed with the honeycomb and the honey, and that's also the laundry room. Then out there's the coops, and then, past that is the barn for the cows. But I saw this light coming through the window. I'm like, what is that? So I'm looking at my wall, and I'm seeing shadows dancing around. And I'm trying to figure out, what the frack is that? So I get up, throw my sheets off, inching down the bed to peek out the window. So I'm not just like full-fledged looking, but I'm like peeking out the window to see like what's out there. You would not believe what I saw. What I saw was a bonfire in the chicken yard. And there's these little, I like to call them kobolds, but when you look it up on the internet, these are nothing like kobolds. The closest thing they come to is the Kentucky Goblin, but like little minions of the devil, basically. So they look like gremlins, except for their ears aren't as big. They're a little bit shorter, but they'll have that shiny skin. And when you look at them dancing around the light, it's hard to tell what color they are. Are they gray? Or are they like a greenish color? It's hard to tell because of the reflection of the fire on them. And some of them have drums, some of them have spears, some of them have other weapons, and they're just like chanting and dancing around this fire in the chicken yard. And all of a sudden it's like, whoomp, like all of a sudden go whoomp, stops at once. They all stop dancing, they all stop chanting, they all stop drumming. And they turn and look immediately my direction, like they feel me watching them. I don't know if you've ever felt something watching you, but they felt me watching them. As soon as, I'm getting goosebumps again. As soon as that happened, I threw myself back in bed, sheets up over my face, except for I need to be able to see what's going on. and you could see the shadows getting closer. You can hear the scratching and clawing up the side of the house. And then you can see their little heads, the shadows of their heads, peering through the window, and you can hear them like chattering back and forth at each other. I just stayed as still as I could, hoping and praying they would not come in after me. And then they went down. Unfortunately, you guys, I think they went down to my brother's room. And he just hasn't been the same since. And he, still to this day, won't even talk about it. So carry on. It just felt like the next night, but it could have been a few nights later. Went to sleep, had this dream. I'm in bed. I smell smoke. And it's like a sulfuric smell. It reminded me of like when my dad would take a shit in the bathroom and strike a match to cover up the smell, which does that really ever? That's what it smelled like. And then I could see this light coming up from the base of my bed. So my room was my mom's old room. And so I'm staying in my mom's old room, and I'm in bed, and I see this light coming. So it's very small. There's the bed, and then there's like some shelves over here. I think there was a toy box, and then there's a doorway with lace curtains tied back, yellow lace curtains. Then at the end of my bed, there's a dresser with a mirror, which I'd brush my hair at night in. And it's a small space there, but that's where the light was coming from. And all of a sudden, my bed starts tilting up like this. So it's tilting. Holy shit, I'm getting goosebumps again. And I'm sliding down the bed. And the only thing I could do was reach for my baseboard. Well, baseboards back in that day, I guess some were big, but this one was below the mattress. So I had to reach down and hold on to the baseboard with dear life. So I've got my thumbs dug in there. I got my fingers holding on. I'm trying not to fall in there, and it's just fire and brimstone. Like you see fire and kind of look like molten hot, like rocks along the sides, and it just goes so deep you don't even know what the bottom is. And I'm trying not to slip into this hole. Bam! I'm awake. That's why I wake up at the end of my bed. So I'm laying there and I'm thinking, this was the most messed up dream I've ever had. Like, I used to have the repetitive dream of falling from heights, which I think was a past life memory. And this one trumped it by far. Even though that one was repetitive, I still have a fear of heights. Even my youngest daughter has that immense fear of heights. Mine's not even as bad as hers. But yeah, I had that like every night, falling until I get closer and closer to the crack till I finally hit it. But that was one of the worst things. And I was thinking, like, this dream was so messed up. Can't believe this just happened. And just sitting there, like, reminiscing on it, like, going through it in my mind, trying to calm myself. Take a deep breath. All of a sudden, I smell smoke. It wasn't the sulfuric smoke of fire and brimstone. It smelled sweet, like cherry smoke. So I have this, that I got from my grandparents' house. Velvet tobacco. This is so old and rusted, you can't even open it. I used to play kind of like Lego or Lincoln Logs, and I'd use these as like a bridge or paving or whatnot, but I used to love the smell of this stuff. And I don't know, it was pretty nice. It smelled good, but it didn't smell like this. Like, the smell I got from this was like a cherry flavored tobacco. And I was like, well, that's weird. My grandparents don't smoke that. And so I slowly turned my head to the door to see who was there. Do you know when I saw Adrian? It freaking freaked me out. So, like I said, I didn't have a door. I had lace curtains tied back. I see this tall, dark silhouette of a man. And I'm like, could be my grandpa, but he never really stands in my door. Then all of a sudden he lifts his hand and takes a puff off of his cigar, which was cherry tobacco. And then I could see his face, his hair, like what he was wearing. I could see basically this area of him. Let me tell you, this man was the most beautiful man I had ever seen in my life. Right away I knew who it was. I don't know how or why. I was only 5, almost 6. Basically, I was 6 at this point. I knew it was the devil, and my dad had taught me, because of what my mother had told him and what she had gone through, and due to my nightmares, my reoccurring nightmares, if you ever have recurring nightmares or you have something that scares you so much that you can't get back to sleep, say, God stands before me, God stands before me, Satan fall behind. I didn't even say it out loud. I said it in my head. But you know, a lot of these things are empathic. Not only can they can read your thoughts, they can hear your thoughts. So I said that. I said, God stands before me, Satan fall behind. Just like that, I was out. I didn't have to deal with it. So lo and behold, you know, I had issues sleeping for a long time, but I would sleep and I'd always get woken up because my granny was cooking some bacon in the morning, and man, waking up to bacon, you just get so hungry you want to come out and eat, and I'd go out there and be like, hey, Granny, and she'd always tell me, go back to bed, go back to bed. So I believe, I'm trying to think, I believe that was the last of my paranormal experiences for quite some time. So it stopped at like the age of 6. After that, my grandparents decided, due to the rambunctiousness of my little brother and I, mostly my little brother, that they could not take care of us. Yep, it stands before me, Satan falls behind. Yeah. God stands before me, Satan fall behind. Same thing. Yeah, God stands before me, Satan fall behind. So my aunt came and got us because our grandparents said, hey, we're tapping out, we can't do this anymore. She drove all the way from Washington State to Arkansas to get us, and then took us back to Washington State. And, you know, there's a couple scares, but nothing really big, nothing crazy. Then my uncle being a nurse, we moved to Cortez, Colorado from there. And I remember, I believe I was like in 4th grade when we moved. And it was really late at night when we pulled into Cortez, and I was like, Uncle Bill, what's a Navajo? You know, because I didn't know Navajo, like the J was silent. He's like, hey, you know, that's Navajo. I'm like, oh, okay. You know, learning process for me. You know, I come from the land of Cherokee. I never even knew any of those. And ended up going to school with Utes and Navajos, and it was a pretty interesting time for me. I remember, at first we lived in this place, I want to call it 434 North Elm. Yes, we lived on Elm Street. You know, just the waiting for something to happen. Nothing ever really happened in the house. We had a lot of fun, and learned a lot of things about the area and ourselves. And then we moved up the street to right next to Downey School. I don't even know what it's called now. I don't think it's Downey School. I think it's some administration building or something. But that's where I went to elementary school, and I lived in that yellow house right next door. I lived upstairs. Everybody else lived downstairs. And there used to be a man that would stand outside my door. So there's downstairs, upstairs, There's a staircase that would lead up to my door, and outside that door every night a man would stand, but he never came in. And it also had those creepy closets that went like the full length of the house. Damn Navajos. I don't know. I have to say, Navajos are my favorite. I love Utes too, but they're meaner to me than Navajos, so I have a particular place in my heart. Especially since I mostly grew up with them, but also went into the Marine Corps with one named Sosi, and Johanna Sosi. She was amazing. But yeah, you know, I hate to say I have favorites, but I do. I know, like, things that were few and far between, and then I reached the age of 13, and that's where a lot of the reins were released to me, like, as far as, like, bounds, like, I can only ride my bike on this street, or maybe around the block, or maybe up the alley and around. Like, you could not get out of view. You could not get out of a certain length or area. But once I reached, like, 13, I was allowed to, you know, run certain places, and so I would. No, I get you, Adrian. I love those damn Navajos. But yeah, when I would run, that was really trippy because I would see shadows, and then I would hear someone calling my name, and it was always the voice of my mom. But was it my mom? I don't know. Here we are on Elm Street, but also Montezuma. So I'd run from Elm Street down Montezuma to, like, Sea Market, or just to run, just to, you know, get some stuff out. So hear shadows, or see shadows, hear my name called, and, you know, they'd be peeking in and out of the bushes and stuff. That was super weird to me. Then I moved out pretty early, so my dad came and said, hey, guess what? I got married, which really pissed me off because he didn't tell me before, and I felt like I should be included because that's my dad, right? Really none of my business, but he came and told me one day that he found somebody and he got married, and it really made me upset because I wasn't able to be there for that. But they just did, like, the courthouse wedding instead of the, you know, actual, you know, in public wedding. So I was able to be there for that. Scary voices. Yeah, the shadow voices, they were scary because it sounded like my mom, but I don't know if it really was or not. But traveling on from there, shortly after that, my dad was like, hey, I'm married. I want another chance with my kids. So I'm 13. I think my brother's 12 at the time. Maybe I'm 14, and by the time he asked us to move in, maybe I'm 14 and he's 13. But it was very tumultuous. Like, we had a lot of issues because my dad was a pretty bad alcoholic, and me and my dad really didn't fight, but my dad and my little brother did. So that was pretty sad, but yeah, crazy experiences down there, crazy experiences in the Russ Trailer Park, if you know where that is in Cortez. And then I ended up moving out on my own when I was 15, almost 16, because my grades were suffering, and I was working a job, ended up working 2, and doing school, graduated, living on my own. I think once I moved out from that toxic environment, it really helped me. But then after that, like, in the Calamo Canyon, Adrian, do you know where that is? So my friends are telling me, you gotta go with us. You gotta go. Like, the Calamo Canyon, there's, like, these balls of light, and they're different colors, and they'll fly around at this certain time, and talking about SWs and other stuff like that. Went down there, witnessed the balls of light just flying through the canyons and stuff. That was pretty amazing. I don't think it was UFO orbs. I think it was actually spiritual orbs, but I'm not quite sure. I was pretty young at the time. I remember one Halloween, I was dating this guy named Jeremy Gallion. What a gallant guy that was. Just kidding. And he's like, hey, let's go down to McComo Canyon, and there's this really creepy house I want you to check out. And so we went down there, and I don't know if you heard, Adrian, about the House of Mirrors, but when you're going down this road, so you go past Sleeping Ute Mountain, and you know it's pretty windy and stuff, and there's this house with these really big windows, and they call it the House of Mirrors because as you're driving towards it, it looks like somebody's driving towards you, but they're really not. McCamel toe. Is that what you guys call it? The camel toe? I'll have to remember that. But we drove by there, like, past the House of Mirrors, which was pretty creepy. And it's Halloween, and we're, McCamel's Canyon, McCamel's Toe Canyon. Oh, McCamel's Canyon, okay. But you make this turn off, and there's this really big house, and it was deserted. And my boyfriend pulled up in front of it, and then he turns off the lights, and I'm like, what the F are you doing? Why are you turning off the lights? Turn them back on. And I think there was another girl, like, we didn't wear our seatbelts back then. Like, nobody wore seatbelts back when they were kids, back in the 70s, 80s, even 90s. And so it's two girls in the middle, two guys on the outside, and as soon as he turns the light back on, guess what? There's a dog sitting right in front of the door, and it's got this kerchief on, and it's just staring at us, and it's just sitting there. It's not moving, not wagging its tail, not blinking, nothing. It's just staring at us, and you know, with the reflection of the light, like its eyes are glowing, and we all scream, and we're like, let's get out of here. So we did. Also, throughout this time in Cortez, not only did my aunt, who's now my mom, she adopted me, and other people that I hung out with, we'd go out to the Camel Canyon, or we'd go out to where the new jail was built in that canyon, or back where behind Kmart, now the new Walmart, now the new high school is built. Like, the new high school is new, the new Walmart is new, but we used to go, you know, driving through canyons and going up these steep ass slopes, and when it was really muddy and rainy, we'd go mud bogging and stuff like that. Super creepy things would happen out there too, like driving along, and all of a sudden there's a horse head in the middle of nowhere. Like, there ain't no gangsters out here. Why is there a freaking horse head? And then you heard all these stories about witchcraft and sacrifices and all these black cats and little kids going missing and stuff like that. I just have to say, like, Cortez, Colorado is its own ridiculously individual place. So like I said, like, I grew up there from the age or grade of 4th grade until I graduated high school. And then I joined the military just to get the F out of there because, I don't know, I ended up going back after I got out of the military. First I went back to Arkansas, then I went to Tennessee, and then I came back to Cortez just to be near my dad because he was dying from cirrhosis of the liver and hepatitis C. And just the weight of the atmosphere there, just the feeling of, I don't know, it's just so dark and depressing. And I don't know if you've picked up on that, Adrian, but the energy in Cortez is just something else. I don't even see how people still live there. Like, they can be beautiful in certain areas, but just the energy and the weight of things is very, very sad and depressing. Like, so many people unalive themselves. So many people murder each other, sacrifice each other. Like, I don't know, there's so many crazy things that happen, and it makes you wonder about, you know, ancient curses and such. Does this have anything to do with it? I don't know. Trying to remember where I was going. But yeah, I moved back there. That's where all the energy came from. And I was like, I just gotta leave this place again. So I moved right down the road to Mancos, Colorado, to a matchstick house. You want to know how this thing was built? So, you know Mesa Verde, where the Aztecs used to live? Well, they used to have cabins up there for the people that would work up there. Well, these cabins eventually got sold off to auction. They took 3 of these cabins and put them together to make a house, and they call it a matchstick house because that's basically what it is. It's kind of like Lincoln Logs, but not, in Mancos, Colorado. So this is where my next haunting begins. I'm gonna have to wrap it up. I might tell a little bit more tomorrow. I'll have to remember where I'm at. But yes, 3 cabins put together, so it's kind of like in an L shape. So there's a bedroom over here, living room over here, kitchen over here, and then there's a little add-on at the end and a little back porch. So I moved into this house. Shortly after I moved in, it was 9/11. My uncle called me. He's like, "Hey, you got your TV on?" No, I'm still unpacking and moving stuff in. He's like, "Plug your TV in. You gotta see this." So I do, and there's 9/11 and all its horrific glory. It was the most insane day I can recall, I think, ever in my life, even paranormally, like all these thousands of lives being lost. I don't know if you guys remember all the things that were being shown that day, like live on video. You could see people jumping to their deaths, like freaking horrific stuff. I ended up yanking the plug out on that, but I had a spirit cat there, a little black cat that did not exist. So it was about the same time as 9/11, shortly after I ripped the cable out of the wall. I see this black cat, and I'm trying to chase it down, and it runs into my living room where I plug my TV into, and it jumps up on the back of the couch, and it jumps behind it. I'm looking everywhere. I'm looking all over this house. I don't see a freaking black cat anywhere. So we just write it off like, oh, well, maybe it got out or something. We don't know. And then it's getting colder. September turns to October. And we have like this little furnace stove. So I'm sitting my fat ass in front of this little furnace stove, and I'm just like this, trying to get warm. And all of a sudden I step to the right because I have a little baby daughter. She's 1.5 at this point. Step to the right, and I almost step on this black cat. And again, it ran behind the couch. No cat anywhere. Pretty trippy. And then this house was, like, not only were we renting it, it was for sale. And so yeah, I took my cousin brother's son. He started out as my cousin, then he became my brother when they brought me into the family. And then he was my son because his family basically dissed him, and I was helping to raise him. Now he's my brother again because I got adopted into the family, but dropped him off at his dad's house, and we were hanging out there that night, and then I was like, hey, I really don't want to go back by myself because it's freaking creepy, but I have to go back and vacuum because there's going to be a viewing tomorrow. So I had to go and vacuum. Like, basically the rest of it was superbly clean, but I had to vacuum just to, make it decent enough for people to go in. So I thought, because, I had the Marine Corps pristine mentality of, let's get it clean. So yeah, I went back and vacuumed, and as I was doing that, like, there was something screaming in my ear, like, it wanted me gone. Do you know where this place was located? It was on Mill Street. Right across from this matchstick house was an old Catholic church. That place haunted the frick out of me. Like, I would look out the window and I would just feel all the things things coming from it. Like, I knew, like, what was there. I knew there was little babies buried under the floor. I knew there was all kinds of stuff going on there. Come to find out later on there was. Moved out of there and moved to Durango. And, okay, so the first place we lived was outside of Bayfield going towards Pagosa. Really not a lot going out there, mostly just like, you know, nature energy. And I don't know about you guys, but everything has an energy. Everything has an aura, whether it be plants or trees or animals. There's so much energy out there. So, yeah, son, cousin. No, my brother, cousin, son. Get it right, Adrian. Brother, cousin, son. He's my brother because I moved in and he was like my brother. He's my cousin because that's how he originated. Then he was my son because I was raising him. Now he's my brother again because I got adopted. You got it? You get it? That place was pretty trippy. Like, I wish I would have, like, gone outside of all the big pine trees and would just gone and laid out in that field and looked up at the sky, because I know could have seen some, like, UFO stuffs. But yeah, you could feel some spiritual energy, especially, like, outside of that house. There was a guest house. All kinds of energy back there. But then we moved from there back up to this guy, Vern, that I met. We ended up getting together, almost killed him on Piedra River Road. That's where you guys got to be careful of your thoughts, because your thoughts are very, very powerful. So I'm driving up to Piedra River Road. I'm thinking, this is such a beautiful place. If I ever die somewhere, I want it to be somewhere like this. And guess what? On the way back, I almost did die. Come around this corner, hit some corduroy, go left, right, straighten it out. Everything's fine. Then it felt like something grabbed my steering wheel, and moved it to the point where we're flying off the edge of a cliff. Luckily, it wasn't the 500-foot cliff. It was only the 50-footer. Yeah, that was pretty intriguing. But we'll continue on from there. I just have to say, I thought I was dead. We went back the next day to make sure our bodies weren't still there, and they weren't. But yeah, I have to remind myself, this is where we left off. So thank you so much once again to my guest, Adrian Bledsoe, for coming in and sharing your Bigfoot stories and other paranormal stories. Super epic. Can't wait to do it again with you in the future. Sit down. Let's do this. And thank you to all of my friends on We Are Paradox Media's Facebook, KPNL Radio, Twitter, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Facebook, YouTube, StreamYard, wherever you're at. Thank you once again for listening, wherever you are beyond the onlookers. Have a wonderful time. Can't wait to do it again. Tomorrow night, we're going to do the same thing. Story time with me, TessaTNT. Hopefully we'll get some ghost stories in there. Thank you again, Jen, for being proactive and being my backup and giving me that little boost I needed to get past, the guy calling me fat and whatnot. That was not cool. Not cool at all. Don't forget, you guys, we are all in this together. Together, we can make the world a bit better. And together, my friends, we are Paradox Media, because without you, there is no us. Until next time, night-night, love and light to all my friends out there. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Saturday night. And I will see you back here, same crazy time, same crazy place.